أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتحدون الذي لا يدركه بعد الحمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وشفيع ذنوبنا سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم وعلى بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين صاحب العصر والزمان خليفة الرحمن إمام الإنس والجان ولعن الله أعداهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين أما بعد فقد قال الله وقوله الحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله ولا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعجل فرجهم. First of all, we send our Mubarak and our congratulations on the day of the Waladat Sa'adat of our second Imam, Imam Hasan ibn alayhi salatu wassalam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all of you and your families on this beautiful day. And may He include us amongst those who continue to have the love of Ali Muhammad in our hearts, inshallah. I wanted to speak tonight strictly on Imam Mujtaba and derive a few points from his life. This was an Imam who was born on the 15th Ramadan in the third year after Hijrah in the beautiful city of Medina. He was shaheed at the hands of his own wife, Ja'ada or Ju'ada as some know. On some say the 7th of Safar, others say the 28th of Safar. 50th year after Hijrah. He was 48 years old when he was shaheed. 48 years of his life, 9 of them he was an Imam. Buried, of course, in Baqi in Medina as well. And this is a prime opportunity for us to truly learn from and apply certain lessons from this Imam that I often say whenever this day comes about every single year that he is still one of the more Muslim Imams that we have. Sorry. And the reality is it's either because we don't know him enough as his Shias or that those who claim to know him have a horrible image of him in history. One such accusation against our Imam, na'udhu billah, may Allah protect those who write these things with their own pen and their own consciousness, that he was known as someone that is called mitlaq. Mitlaq from talaq is somebody who doesn't just divorce, but he's a habitual divorcer. Some historians have written, incorrectly of course, that our second Imam married and divorced 70 different women in his lifetime. 70 different women in the span of a 50-year life, 48, 49-year life. And in terms of our Shi'as, either we don't know his Azamat, the greatness, or we reduce it to one area of his life. All we truly know about Imam Mujtaba is his Sulah with Muawiyah. Even that is not understood properly. What was done behind what was done during those days? What was the logic and the reasoning behind this treaty? How he saved, Imam Mujtaba did the Deen by doing this Sulah, etc., etc. And I don't want to go down that historical route, as I love to do. As many of you know me by now, these dates of the Waladat or the Shahadat of any of our Imams, I use it as a time for me now to get to know that specific Imam. And that's why, we ended off the story of Nabi Musa officially last night. And today will be strictly about Imam Mujtaba. And as has been announced, I have decided now to add one more bonus speech for all of you, even though today was my last day at BQ and Baitul Asad, but because it's a virtual world, They can play the speech whenever they want it. There's one more episode or one more speech on the Nabi Musa story that will lead until the death of Fir'aun. And then that, inshallah, will also be played sometime whenever the management decides, either at Bait-ul-Asa or at baitulqayem or at both, inshallah. But I don't want to conflict with the program with Sheikh Bilal at Bait-ul-Qaim or anyone else at Bait-ul-Asa. If it is the same speaker, I don't want to conflict that at all. Khair. So one point of fadilat and distinction and the greatness of this Imam, our second Imam. In order for us to understand this greatness, I want to first of all, very briefly in the beginning, talk about the discussion of Ahl versus family. Okay? Ahl versus family. If somebody is part of your Ahl, it doesn't mean that they're part of your family. If somebody is part of your family, it doesn't mean they're part of your Ahl, at least in the Quranic and the Islamic terminology. I'll give you a few examples. The classic example of this that can be found in the Quran is Nabi Nuh alayhi salam. Nabi Nuh alayhi salam, of course, had a son. When the adab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hit the people of Nabi Nuh, 40 days, 40 nights, it rained and rained and rained and rained and rained to the point when flooding occurs. Naturally, the fitrat of the father was to search for his son. Where is my son? Where is my, ahli, he's my ahl, until the command from Allah or the hukm from Allah or the statement from Allah says, Ya Nuhu, innahu laysa min ahlik. He's not from your ahl. Innahu amalu ghayr salih. Okay? God does not tell you that, he can't deny the fact that he's your biological son. There's genetics there, there's blood there, I can't deny that. But you're calling him your ahl. Allah says no. He's not from your ahl. He might be your biological son. He is not from your ahl. And then right away after he says, innahu amalu ghayr salih, he actually is the embodiment and the manifestation and the tajalli of an amal that's ghayr salih. So right away it seems as if tafsir says the reason why he is not part of your ahl nu is because of his amal and his deeds. His deeds is exactly what made him the personification of who he is today. The story goes on in our hadith that Nabi Nuh finds him at the peak of a mountain now, trying to escape the rising waters, and he says, of course, the father says, come to me. Nobody will be spared from this adab. Come with me. He says, Baba, I'm good. Don't worry, I'm fine. Like Rumi has a very nice way of capturing this. I've said this before. He says that, he says to Nabi Nuh that, oh Father, I know how to swim. I'll survive this flood. And the one sentence at the bottom of that poem that Rumi writes, if only the son of Nabi Nuh didn't know how to swim. Meaning that knowledge of swimming now veiled the fact that this wasn't just his father, this was the prophet of God, the ulul azam prophet of God, calling him towards salvation. He was blinded to that. He is not the ahl of Nuh. Another example is our Ahlul Bayt. When Ayat al-Tathir was revealed onto the Holy Prophet, everybody's asking, who are the Ahlul Bayt? Who are these Ahlul Bayt? Are we the Ahlul Bayt? Are they the Ahlul Bayt? They were members of the family of the Holy Prophet, blood relatives that were nowhere near the Ahlul Bayt. Then there were others, for example, that would be referred to as Minna Ahlul Bayt. Right? Forget not being an Arab. Salman al-Farsi was nowhere near the family bloodlines of the Holy Prophet. Right? So being somebody's ahl and being somebody's family are two different things. Ahl is strictly and absolutely connected to the amal, to deeds. If you follow this person in their deeds, you are their ahl. That's why the Prophet of Allah would go to the door of Fatima Zahra salamu alayha every single morning, after Ayat that was revealed. Assalamu alaykum ya ahl bayt an-nabuwah. You want to know who the ahl bayt are? These are my ahl bayt. Yes, you can argue that Maulana, they're ultimately his family. You're right, but that wasn't because of blood. The ahl bayt of his ahl bayt were not based on bloodlines. Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, they're also bloodlines of the Prophet as well. But these Ahlul Bayt were strictly based on merit, their taqwa, and their ilm, and their shuja'at, etc., etc. So ilm Ahl and amal are combined together. Now, why do I make that? Now come to the hadith. The reason why I went through this tedious thing right now was to understand this very famous hadith. The Holy Prophet says, Al-Hasan wal-Husayn, Sayyiday Shababe Ahl Jannah. That they are the Sayyids, they are the masters of the Ahl of Jannah. The hadith does not say they are the Sayyids of the Ashab of Jannah. We have in the Quran, Ashab al-Nar, Ashab al-Jannah. The companions of the hellfire, the companions of heaven. Hum fiha khalidun, correct? But the hadith is very, very specific in saying these are not the ashab, these are the ahl of Jannah. And we just realized through the Quran that ahl is a different maqam altogether, a very high maqam altogether. Ahl is higher than ashab. Ahl is that you are treading the path of the amal of Jannah. You actually become the ahl Jannah. It's a very high maqam. But what's higher than the ahl Jannah is the Sayyid of the Ahl Jannah. What's higher than the Ahl Jannah is to say this person. The hadith does not say that Al-Hasan alayhi salam is the Ahl Jannah or part of the Ahl Jannah. No, he says he is Sayyidei Shabab Ahl Jannah. If the Ahl Jannah are here, the Sayyid, the master of those Ahl Jannah is Imam Mustafa alayhi salatu wasalam. For his fadilat, for his bulandi, the greatness of his soul, please recite a salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. So his fadilat is not ordinary. This was the most beloved, one of the most beloved children of the Ahlul Bayt. Okay. The Prophet of Allah loved him dearly. I want to extract tonight 2 points from his life. The same thing I did for Bibi Khadija in her majlis now 5 days ago. 2 points I want to make. Number one was generosity. Number two was a discussion on suspicion, okay? These are very important discussions. I'll be very quick. I don't want to go over my 35 minutes, okay? I'm already about 12 minutes in. So, the verse I read for you in the khutbah, the very famous verse from Surah Al-Insan, talks about the very famous moment of the 3 fasts that the Ahlul Bayt did when Imam Mustafa was ill. The command from the Holy Prophet to Imam Ali was for you to fast for 3 days. Inshallah, Allah will grant your son Hassan shifa. They fast for 3 days, every single night, all 3 nights, at the time of iftar, a different person comes to the door, right? An orphan, a beggar, and a captive. Okay? And then in Surah Al-Insan, verse number 9, I believe, they describe the fact that when they gave the iftar, all that they had, to these 3 individuals, they describe why they gave. Okay? إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمَكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. That we gave out of the wajh and the essence of Allah. لَا نُرِيدُ مِنْكُمْ جَزَاءً وَلَا شَكُورًا. In the khutbah, I added a wa. The wa is not correct. It's la nuridu. We don't, the Ahlul Bayt don't want minkum, from you, from this society, a jaza or shukr. We don't want a gift. We don't want thankfulness. We don't want anything from you. We do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Correct? Sometimes we give, right? We give whatever we can give. But we give with 1,000 conditions and 1,000 desires. That I want to be recognized. I want an income tax receipt. I want my name on a plaque. I want to be called out on Recognition Day, Awards Day, at Darul Im, Saturday school. I want to make sure that at the camp someone calls me up. If I don't, qayamat, right? Next year I'm not going to come. Or sometimes, I've had people, let's say, for example, I remember one brother, okay? True story. And, I'm not going to mention any names, of course. True story. He, sometimes, I don't wear rings sometimes on my hands because, sometimes, they not that they bother me, but I should wear a ring. But sometimes I forget, sometimes, they bother me, okay? So, I remember I was reciting this was years ago, and he was watching online from wherever he was. This brother, he calls me out of the blue, no idea who he is, from a remote city that was way, way far beyond where I was speaking from. He calls me and he says, great lectures, Maulana, but I notice that you don't wear a Durr Najaf ring, the white stone. I said, yeah, you're right, I don't. Do you own one, Maulana? No. I mean, I have my aqiq, I have my wedding band, Those 2 are pretty much enough to protect me in this world and the hereafter. He says, no, you must have Durr Najaf. So, mashallah, somehow through means, he sent me the ring. Now the ring had what was, number one, it was small, so every time I put it on, it would cut through a little bit of the circulation. It was very difficult for me to wear. Now I didn't say, brother, it doesn't fit me here, take it back. I kept it. And inshallah, maybe, if somebody I know has a smaller finger than I do, I can give it to them, right? Now, the Ashra continued. 3-4 days later, he calls me back up, Maulana, you're not wearing the ring I gave you. What do I say to him? That, look, Baba, it hurts when I wear. I didn't say anything. Yeah, inshallah, I wear. Please wear the ring. Right? I mean, there are people who they give a gift and say, oh, okay, another person. True story. Now they gave me a kufi, right? A hat. They went to Hajj, and mashallah, very very nice of them. But I have a very specific head size. The reason why I wear this same hat everywhere I go. Like people can tell a mile away in some Instagram photo in the background, oh, that's because of the special hat I wear. I don't wear it, I'm not attached to the hat. It's the only one that fits my big head. That's the reality of it. Especially now, since I haven't had a haircut in months and I'm dying for my fade, right? Hashtag, pandemic problems. But, this is the only one that really, I have a drawer full of hats. They don't fit me. Right? So he sends me a kufi, a hat. From where? From Mecca. Very blessed man. I thought about you. Thank you very much. Calls me up and says, it didn't fit. I mean, it was stretchy, didn't fit. Okay. He calls me up. He says, oh, Maulana, you're reciting tonight. Yeah. Can you wear the kufi I gave you? I said, brother, it doesn't fit. Oh no, man, if you stretch it really, really well, it didn't keep out. I mean, one day you can, fit it on, squeeze on. Brother, it doesn't fit. It's uncomfortable. It squeezes my head. It moves a lot. As is, I have a lot of hat problems. I touch my hat a lot, right? But and so when people give, they give with 1,000 conditions, and if you don't, they're disappointed. You want to give, just give and forget about it. You give and you forget about it, right? لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكر. I don't want thanks. I don't want sugar from you. Nothing. Here, you need it. Here you go. Here, خلاص. Forget about it. Remind the person now to. I gave you that. We don't need that, right? That's not the way of the Ahlul Bayt. That's not the way Imam Mujtaba gave. He gave open door policy. His Dasakhan of Imam Mujtaba is very famous. He would feed the poorest of the poor of Medina to come and sit at my sofa, at my Dasakhan, and eat. Eat until you're full and you may go. I don't need anyone here to give me some sort of a thank you or a hashtag or a post on some WhatsApp group. No, I don't. I do it, why? لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ, for the essence of Allah. So the first point I want to make is that if you are somebody who's generous, if you've given something to somebody, khalas, forget about it, right? Forget about it, okay? You don't need to remind them or, throw it in their face years later or ask them, you haven't worn the ring I gave you in a very long time, right? Where's the shirt I gave you, that hijab I bought for you, right? When I went to Pakistan, India, I haven't seen you wear it in a long time. Like, it just becomes it's better if you didn't, here's the ring back, here, take the hijab back, please. Ab le wapis. It's easier for me if you just, as opposed to taking, a fashion attendance. Oh, he didn't wear my kufi today. There's no ring on his finger. It's a little bit less stressful for me if that happens. That's point number one, okay? Point number two, and more important, is that one of the biggest tragedies that happened in the life of Imam Mujtaba alayhi salam were the ashab that he was given. I'm sorry. Right? Oftentimes I always say this, that the only difference, and I'll say this historically, the only difference between Imam Hussein and Imam Hasan alayhi salam was not that na'udhu billah Imam Hussein was more courageous, that's why he fought against Yazid, and Imam Hasan did sulh against Yazid. Muawiyah. It's not that, it was a different era or a different time, Muawiyah was a different enemy, Yazid was, no, not at all. Had Imam Hassan existed on the day of Ashura, he would have done the exact same thing Imam Hussein did, meaning he would have fought against Yazid. Had Imam Hussein existed in the time of Imam Mujtaba, he would have done Sulah with Muawiyah. Let's get this through our minds right now. Okay? So what is the difference? Not Muawiyah, not Yazid, not Hussein, not Hassan. It is only the ashab. The ashab that Imam Hussein had were not the ashab that Imam Hassan had. And beautifully, not my words, beautifully, an Iranian alim had said that Imam Hussein, in the middle of the night, closing the lights, blowing out the candle, begging his companions to go, please, they want my head, go. Not one moved, whereas Imam Mujtaba's companions, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the war, begging them to stay, they all left one by one. all based on the propaganda of Muawiyah. He was a master at that, as many of you know. And he was able now to create suspicion inside of them against Imam Mujtaba. Suspicion. What's called the dhann in Arabic. Not zan. Zan with a raza is women. Dhann with a zoe is conjecture, it's called. Okay? To be suspicious, right? Husn zan we say. Su zan we say in Urdu, right? To have a good thought, a good opinion of somebody, to have a horrible opinion of somebody. So what I want to do is, in point number 2, is I want to make sure that we don't end up being like the ashab of Imam Mujtaba. Okay? How do we do that? We avoid suspicion. We avoid being suspicious. Now, I want to share with you one verse from Surah Hujurat and a few ahadith, inshallah, to share with you the importance of ensuring that we don't end up like this. Okay? First, the verse is verse number 12 from Surah Hujurat. Surah Hujurat is the 49th chapter of the Quran. It's one of those chapters that a lot of commentary about tafsir have been written. Separate books have been written on this one chapter. It's only, I believe, 18 verses long, but there's filled with so many beautiful ethical values. Surah Hujurat, 49th chapter of the Quran. Verse number 12 says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, ijtanibu kathiran min al-dhann. Inna ba'da dhanni ithmun. Allahu Akbar. All you who have true faith, keep away from all sorts of conjecture, to be suspicious, to always think negative, since surely some types of conjecture may lead to sin. The verse goes on. وَلَا تَجَسَّسُوا وَلَا يَغْتَبْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. Right? And in addition to that, don't spy on and do not backbite against each other. This is a very famous line that talks about the flesh of your brother, right? أَيُحِبُّ الْأَحَدُكُمْ إِنْ يَأْكُلِ لَحْمَ أَخِيهِ مَيْتًا. Do you prefer to eat the flesh of your dead brother? Right? فَكَرِهْتُمُوهُ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ تَوَّابٌ رَحِيمٌ. Rather, you detest this act. Therefore, have taqwa of Allah. Certainly Allah is the one who is oft turning to you in repentance and is merciful. Okay? Now, what I want to gather from this verse is that I don't want any of us, and there are some people like that in our communities, in our families, who always have a negative thought about everybody. Oh my God. You mention any khair, any hasanat, any compliment, any sort of good words about anybody, and their face turns. Acha. And right away they share all the good, bad things that they know. So they always have this pessimistic view on life. Okay? Suizan. Everywhere you go, suizan. A horrible example. A horrible thought. A horrible this. Right? Everything is negative, negative, negative. The hadith says 70 excuses for a mu'min or a mu'minah. They can't even muster up one excuse. Right? So someone comes, let's say, to baitulqayem, baitulqayem, they're having a horrible day, and let's say for one moment they're hungry, it's a tough fast, and there was a little bit of a back and forth with you, for example. Let's say, for example, okay? This is a moment brother. He's also fasting, you're fasting. He believes in the walayat of Ali, you believe in the walayat of Ali. He's there, dua, salat, mashallah, iftar, everything, so are you. Right? Maybe he had a horrible day. Maybe he had some bad news about his parents, right? Maybe he lost his job that day. And that night he came home just stressed out of what will I do? I have people to feed, I have a mortgage to pay, and he came across you and he just, for that one moment, he snapped. Hadith says what? Dar guzar. Just kind of ignore it. Let it go. No, we'll sit there and we'll fight. If the same person at work, let's say, a non-Muslim, a non-believer, right, an atheist of our co-workers, does something, they say, look, I'm sorry, that's okay, Frank, no problem, Julie, no problem, Terry, no problem, Bob, it's okay. But Ali, Hussein, Raza, Maryam, Fatima, Sakina, Zainab, etc. center, no. The moment something happens, is din ki baat mein kabhi nahi aungi. I will never come back here again. That's it. Hamara rishta to hai qat hai bilkul. No way, we're done. It's like, what? Like, we can't have a bad day. Everything is suspicion. And Islamic ahadith warn us about such people and warn you if you are like that. If you are someone right now who's listening to me, I ask you, I urge you, be positive in your thoughts. Look for the glass half full. Look for the light in this darkness right now. Don't wallow in your own self-pity. Don't think the entire world is out to get you. Because Hadith tells us that when we begin to suspect everybody that comes our way, right? My husband, my wife, my kids, my in-laws, my brothers, my siblings, my community, everybody's out to get me. Everyone is out to get me. Everyone has it out for me. Everything. You start to apply that to God himself then. To God himself. Allah doesn't want to see me happy. Allah doesn't want to give me risk. Allah prefers that I struggle. Allah prefers that I'm depressed and anxious and lonely. He wants me like this. Whoa. That's only because from day number one, you've always been negative. To the point where when the moment you open your mouth, everyone shakes with fear, what's going to come out of that mouth? It'll never be anything positive. A couple of hadiths I want to share with you, inshallah. They're both from Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. He says, Man ghalaba alayhi su'i dhann. Okay. The person whose pessimism, whose negative thoughts, who always has this, horrible take on life, when that takes control over them, right? Man ghalaba, meaning that pessimism has controlled them, right? Lam yatruk baynahu wa bayna khalilan sulhan. That pessimism will always destroy any sort of chance of peace or harmony that may exist between them and their friend. Okay? So God forbid that a person who's pessimistic, su'izan, always negative, gets into a fight with their spouse, with their children, with their best friend, with their in-laws, with their nun, with their sauce, with their, whatever. Now, in order for people to make up with that person, to somehow do some sulah, to somehow make things right, is almost near impossible. Why? Because they always have this negative, they look at you through the side. There's something wrong here. Something is wrong. Even when somebody is happy, it's like, oh, why are they so happy? But someone has said, oh, they're always crying. If somebody likes to read Dua Kum every Thursday, why does he have to read Dua Kum every Thursday? Oh, look, he loves the mic. He's always reading the duas. Baba, he likes to read duas. Right? These are people that Islam says will never be happy. They'll be miserable their whole life. Can you imagine living a life like that? It's always taxing and tiring to have a negative perception of everyone that you meet. Never happy, not approachable, never smiling. Always just bugger in their tone, always just kind of snapping at everybody, right? Even when they're giving a compliment, oh, girl, you look good today. Oh, okay, sorry. Almost like an angry way. It's not like that. That's a person who's allowed what? Man ghalaba. They've allowed that su'izan to overtake them. Let's be very careful. And then on top of that, like I said, there's element of anxiety and stress, constantly being anxious and stressful. And that comes from where? It comes from an element of fear, right? You don't trust A, B, C, you fear them. You think, oh no, they're going to turn against me, so I'm going to watch what I say. I'm going to watch what I do, watch where I look at, where I sit at the center, what I say online, you're just constantly fear. You're paranoid almost. Hadith again, Imam Ali. Man lam yahsun dhannuhu istawhasha min kulli ahad. That the person who does not correct their thoughts about others, meaning they're always negative, right, will always be frightened of every single person. They'll always be in fear. Can you imagine living a life where you think everyone is out to get me? That everyone has this ulterior motive behind it. That if I say A, they'll twist it 1,000 ways. Right? So they don't trust anybody, they won't allow anybody in, right? Their spouse tries to talk to them, but they have wall upon wall upon wall up. Everything's a problem. Right? These are people that constantly live on the bank of suspicion. Now, if you remember from Surah Hujurat, right after suspicion, the sin that comes is jasusi, is that you end up spying on people. I don't mean like spying inside their windows. No, spying could mean like, you kind of find out about them. You get the 411 about them. You get the, andar kya khabar hai, you know what I mean? Right? And then from that jasusi leads to ghibat. And Ayatollah Jafar Subhani has a very nice commentary on Surah Hujurat online, alislam.org, very well translated by Sheikh Salim Bimji. May Allah protect him, give him a long life, inshallah. In that he says that this order of sin from su'idhan to jasusi to ghibat is actually chronological in how it develops. Ghibat doesn't appear like that, right? Ghibat comes when we start to find out information about others that maybe we don't want to find out. That comes from sometimes from suspicion. That suspicion comes from dhan, conjecture. There's no base to it whatsoever. So literally we end up coming across information about people that we had no business finding out to begin with. Why are you so concerned about what happened in this marriage? Why are you so concerned about that family? Your family is burning. Your husband is not happy. Your wife is miserable. And you're consumed about someone else's family and house and marriage. Right? So this idea of being a negative, pessimistic, always suspicious individual leads to many great sins. Many great sins. To the point where now in the middle of the war now you leave what? You leave Imam Mujtaba alayhi salatu wasalam, forcing him now to save the deen by coming to treaties and coming to an agreement with someone like Muawiyah. Right? So we need to be individuals who are positive in nature. Individuals who can always look at the glass half full. So in conclusion, in light of the celebration of Imam Mujtaba, two things. Generosity. You give liwajhillahi. You give for the sake of Allah. And usko bhul jao, please. Khuda ke vaste bhul jao. Forget about what you gave. Don't remind them, aapko yaad hai, aapko yaad hai. That's taxing. Like after a while, I don't want to get anything from you. Number two is let's not be individuals who are suspicious. The main cause of people leaving Imam Mujtaba in the middle of the war was that they had a suspect or a suspicion about him. Su'idhan, as they say in Arabic, which leads, of course, to ghibat ultimately. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to protect us, inshallah, from these dangerous sins in the month of Ramadan. We ask you, Allah, we've now reached the halfway point of the month of Ramadan. Accept our amal. Forgive our sins, inshallah. These next 2 weeks are extremely crucial. I ask you, please, in the nights of the amal coming up now in a matter of a few nights, please remember me and my family in your du'as, and also the ummah at large who are suffering. In the end, we ask you, Allah, when the imam does arrive, that we stand beside him when he comes, inshallah. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.